Hello, friends. Welcome to episode number 44 of My View on Books. And you're watching MaddiE with MaddiE. Who's that MaddiE? I'm the MaddiE. And it's been so long. I think maybe 3 months because we had stopped a lot of contents categories in our channel because of 2050 taxi robo shooting and post production. Now that the movie has delivered, I am resuming all the content. I already started streaming. Saturday night we did this Last Guardian gaming, so I'll try to catch up and do daily live streams. And every Monday we used to do, basically talk about our books, the books that I have read. And yeah, it's been a very long, like between episode 43 and 44. So we are nearing 50. Hopefully, I will hit 50 this year. And so, yeah, on this episode number 44, we're going to talk about. Wow, that was quick. Let me check the audio. Yeah, audio is good. So, yes, the book that I'm going to talk about is The Pull of the Stars, which is written by Emma Donoghue. I don't know how to pronounce it. Emma Donoghue. Yeah. So it's a periodical movie, and as you have read the title, the COVID of the 19th century. So that's the setting. So it's happening in the year 1918 during the World War One end, and world has been plagued. I don't know what they did they call. I think the Black Plague was before earlier centuries, and here they were just they the technology has not improved very much. Science has not improved very much, so they have not even invented microscopes, I guess. So people are like falling sick. It starts with fever, coughing, and then like within few 3 hours, like people end up dead. So everybody was dying because of a mysterious fever and plague, and the war was about to end. Okay, so everywhere it was like pressure, just like COVID. When COVID struck in 2019, early 2020, you know how struggle USA, Italy, India, and China, like a lot of people struggled. I don't know how they coped up. It was really, really difficult, right? So the same situation, it's set in the same situation, but it's in 1918, World War One end, and this plague. So war is about to end. So it's concentrated on a beautiful character, and it is beautifully characterized, I would say. So it's a nurse. So the central character of the novel is a lady who's a nurse in a hospital, and she's really passionate about her job. She cares about a patient even when her time. So she works in a night shift, and then she comes in a cycle. Then she stops somewhere. So from there she has to take a tram. So trams were very even now it's prevalent, right? So in trams people were crowded, and people used to spit. So there were like signs like, don't come out unless it's necessary. So it's like similar to what we saw in social media when the COVID started, right? Wash your hands and then don't come out, lockdowns. So something like that. It gave me that feel, and interestingly, it was written at in 2018, and I'm sure people who were reading during the COVID would have connected. No, I read it this year, I mean, almost after COVID. So during the COVID, if you have read this book, you would have felt, oh man, just 100 years apart. So yeah, this nurse name is Julia, and she's really passionate about the job. So she's working in a maternity ward in a hospital, and it's very short staffed because the pressure is building. A lot of patients are turning up and they're getting admitted, and other wards are like busy with the available staff. So here she's the only one for a shift. So and she's taking care of like three patients, and over the course, so it's happening over 3 days. So that's the whole story. It's her thoughts, what she thinks in her mind. That's the novel, her perspective. And there's like basically three chapters. The chapter is also named like red, and then brown, blue, color coding. Red, brown, blue. I don't think, yeah, black. Yeah, I remember three chapters, but then four. The chapters are very long, so it's just four chapters, and the length of the book is like 291 pages. So, what she thinks in this 3 4 days is the whole story, and it's not just one woman character. So, there is a new staff being added to this maternity ward, and she's like a small girl from a boarding home where nuns used to bring up the children. So she's coming from a very hard upbringing, and she doesn't know anything about nursing, but then Julia teaches her. So her name is Birdie and Sweeney, I think. So Julia kind of names her like Birdie. So their friendship. So the novel is so depressing, I would say. So firstly, a lot of medical technical terms and how they took pulse rates, and you should read it. It's so interesting, and how what a nurse jobs involves really difficult. You cannot even imagine what kind of stuff they have to go through, and how motherly and kind they have to be. And like, even if for a second if you kind of not doing your job, then it's going to be like fatal for the patients. So it's a very critical job, nursing. And the way the novel has expressed the, or given the point of view of a nurse, is like absolutely amazing. I was like mind blown within the 10 pages, and it like over pages it got really sad. How people were in the lower middle class or lower class struggling. They were not even able to get proper nutrition, and because of that they were dying. So there is a point where nurse Julia is noting down the death of a patient. So actual reason is she was not able to she died because she was not able to get proper nutrition during the last few months. But then while writing the report, she's kind of have to write it in a what do you say, diplomatic manner, like debility or something like. So that's how you kind of have to put in the remote. You cannot just say poverty. That's because she was poor and she couldn't get the proper nutrition, she died. So you have to put it in a different way. And this is something interesting she does. Like, she has a watch and she kind of marks a moon or cross whenever someone dies. And the I think the novel begins when a patient tries to give birth to a child, but then the child dies. The patient, the mother, survives. So that's starting itself is a very kind of what do you say, depressing. So the friendship between Julia and Birdie, the small girl, the little girl, is very refreshing. And it's the only positive thing like that kind of makes you happy in the novel. Apart from that, everything is depressing. And even Julia has a very poor background. Like, she has a brother who went to the war and came back, and after the war he has been like completely a different person, not talking very much. But then he understands Julia's job and supports her. So yeah, these two are the main characters. And then there is very courageous woman as well, Dr. Catherine Lynn, and she's like a Protestant, or what do you say, rebel. And Ireland police are like against her, and like they're trying to catch her. But then she has signed up for helping the patients in this hospital. Somewhere somehow she's managing to visit the patients and give some recommendations. So in the whole novel, you kind of see, I think, minimum three births and kind of more than two three deaths. So that's why it was very depressing. And yeah, so the three main characters are Julia, Birdie, and then Dr. Catherine Lynn. And it's very depressing. And so I don't want to spoil, but something bad happens at the end, and it was very emotional, and it's so raw. It's not like melodramatic or artificial. I don't feel the artificial emotions. It's like, okay, you kind of get into the world 1918, and then there is a nurse. You kind of see the world through this nurse lens. What a nurse does and how they feel, how they have to take care of the patients, and how critical, like how like within like every 10 minutes or 20 minutes you need to be measuring the what do you say, pulse rate. And sometimes you have to do it without the awareness of the patient, because when if they find out, then they'll be panicked, like, oh my god, my pulse rate is high, am I something wrong with me? So without their awareness, you should, like, somehow try to make them converse, and then silently kind of touch their hands and make the pulse rate reading. So that's kind of, I was like mind blown. Okay, and the nurse had to be in such level of courtship, or like, being hostility, like, taking care of the patient such a way that doing good, which they might think, not panicked and all. So it's completely raw. I think if you don't like hospital or going into the hospital wards and thinking about that stuff and all, I would suggest don't read this book. But then if you want to know what's happening in the hospital, especially maternity ward, and how women are being taken care there and how critical is it, especially during pregnancy. So maternity ward is something, but you are expecting, the mother is expecting to give to birth to child, and have to be there probably 1 month or 2 months before, and like after 1 or 2 months. So people who end up in this ward are mostly poor in this particular hospital, and Julia feels so sad for them. And it's kind of, there's a small positive ending, but then we kind of get emotional with a couple of characters, but then you kind of what do you say, you feel the pain. There's a very sad ending at the end as well as a happy ending, and I'm sure you will like it. Yeah, it's a definitely must read for women because it's woman centric, almost like all the main characters. There's literally no lead male characters. So the main character is Julia, as I said, the nurse. Her thoughts is the whole novel, and then this Birdie Sweeney. She's very very charming and innocent, naive, and she kind of makes funny remarks, trying to learn the nursing work. How, like, within 2 3 days she's trying to learn and help Julia in you know being very useful as much as possible. And then Dr. Catherine Lynn, she's like a very brave, courageous lady. She kind of was serving as a doctor in the war as well, but then her point of views and her communist, I think the political take had given her like a rebel and Protestant point of view for the government. So government and cops are searching for her, but still she's trying to manage and help the patients in the hospital. So these three different contrasting characters put together in 1918, when this plague is like in the peak and people are dying, like getting fever in the morning and dying in the afternoon. So in that kind of state, panic ridden state, like almost everybody believes that if you get fever you're gonna die. So in that kind of panic ridden state in 1918, almost the war is coming to end. So these three ladies, how especially the nurse interacts with these patients and fellow staff and the doctor, is the movie, and it's very emotional, and it's technically wonderful, I would say. They have listed down everything, like what a woman has to do, I mean, what all the mother has to go through in order to deliver, and how critical it is important, like uh, after giving birth, how to clean the vaginal what do you I forgot the terms. So it's very critical, and like within a quick time you have to clean up the blood and make sure you stop the bleeding, or else it's going to be critical for the mother. So this much, what do you say, detailed level of medical details are present in this novel. I was like mind blown. It's like you can pick up this novel and see. I even got a like good movie plot from this idea. So yeah, it starts from a depressing note and also ends with a depressing note. It's a very sad, emotional but powerful story, and every woman must must read this book, I guess. And also, yeah. But if you don't like hospital and stuff like that, I don't like hospital, like the smell kind of, but then I hate going to hospital and all. So especially that's why, that's the reason I told you, if you don't like hospital then don't read this book, and it gives you that feel. So when you're imagining, especially when you have good imagination visualization powers, or you have the capability to visualize the story when you're reading a book, then you'll obviously imagine the hospital and the maternity ward, how it looks, and the detail are so thorough that it'll kind of play the movie inside your head. Yes, I want to read certain quotes from the book. I have noted down page 23. Like, this book is almost like, see how many markers I have done. Filled such emotional and powerful lines. Yeah, so what I was saying, the mother dies, and instead of poverty, I'd write malnourishment or debility. So the real reason she couldn't get proper nutrition, because she's poor and she cannot afford those. She could not afford those kind of nutrition, and because of so and so reason she died. But you cannot put this on the report, death report. So she has to write like malnourishment or debility. uh, 48. That was one of my favorites. Yeah, and the color code. So, like, uh, there is a term red to brown to blue to black. So, first they go dark in the face if they are not getting quite enough oxygen. So, if there is no oxygen flow in some part of your skin or body, then it kind of gets dark, like kind of flesh. Okay, and then the color changes like mahogany. In more severe cases, the brown might be followed by a lavender in the lips, cheeks, ears, and even fingertips can become quite blue as the patient starved at offer. So it's like red is the starting, red to brown to blue to black, and that's how the chapters are named: red, brown, blue, black. Four chapters, and yeah, this was really good, eye-opening color code. Especially based on the oxygen flow. That's why doctors and nurses they kind of see what's wrong in with you just by looking at yourself, because they know they can easily find out the blood flow or like what's wrong in this part of the body, based on their experience. They have worked so many times. I mean, the experience they have pulled in and the years they have spent, so can easily figure out what's wrong in your body. uh 132. I want to read all the bookmarks, but it's not possible. Yeah, so she thinks at one point, she thinks like human beings had killed so many at this point. Some said nature was rebelling against us. So World War One was one of its kind, right? It's the first World War, and a lot of people, like that was colossal. Like that's the most number of kills till then. 1918, I would say. By then, humans would have been really shocked that so many lives were lost, and World War One was so huge. A lot of nations participated in it, and they have sacrificed so many soldiers. So she thinks like human beings had killed so many at this point. Some said nature was rebelling against us. So this plague, this mysterious plague that is like murdering people, she thinks like nature is rebelling against us. And last 145. 145, 145. Yes, if something attacks the lungs, she murmured, they fill up. So once one drowns in one's own energy. I think swelling of the pleura, purulent material leaking from the alveoli. See, these are the technical terms I was talking about. Swelling of the pleura, purulent material leaking from the alveoli, bronchioles, bronchi. So this is some disorder where people suffocate because of issue in lungs. And she described like if something attacks the lungs, she murmured, they fill up. So one drowns in one's own energy. We've seen people drown in the water. So she's saying like inside in the lungs, you cannot drown yourself. Yeah, and the title. So I have to talk about the title. Why the pull of the stars? I think the word influenza. So, influenza is a term used specifically for fever or some new virus attacking us, and like we are getting sick. So, it was derived from I don't know, Latin or Greek. I do not know exactly, but it means influenza means the influence of the stars on you, the individual. So I think astronomy, right? I get confused between astronomy and astrology. So the a lot of people say that if you're sick, then your stars are not aligned properly. That's why you kind of get sick, or something is happening wrong with the planetary alignment for your birth star or something. So yeah, so the word influenza was derived from this ancient language. I forgot which one, Greek or Latin, and it means that the pull of the stars. So that's how influenza came, and we see even now it's we call it like any new virus, and that's affecting humans like kind of influenza. Yep, I was like mind blown when I came to know, because I didn't know that influenza had such a deep meaning, like full of the stars. And the title of the novel, I was like wondering the novel is kind of like based on nurse and woman, and like why she named it Pull of the Stars. Then she had only given in one of the chapters, the a nurse explains. So Julia explains that why it's called influenza, and how what it means. So that was really revealing to read. Bumble Babu, greetings. Hey Bumble Babu, how are you, Bumble Babu? How many books have you read, Bumble Babu? Or I should ask you, how many games have you completed? Because you're more into gaming. Yes, do check it out. It's like 291 pages, and it's a wonderful story. Four chapters, four long chapters, emotional. You'll almost like cry, I guess. Maybe some tears. Very, very strong, poignant, and definitely, if you're good to read drama, then read. It's a completely drama. So there's nothing like thrilling or fascinating or like suspenseful. Lot of medical, technical details you'll find, especially related to taking care of people who are pregnant, women who are pregnant, or how delicate is their situation, how we need to be mending them. I mean, tending them. So it's really eye-opening. You should read actually. It's really, really. We know that giving birth is something like a miracle, and there's nothing equivalent to it. And you should know, medically how it is done, and how people, the nurses especially, have to be taken care, and how mothers have to be strong and confident and have the strength. They should believe in themselves and fight the pain. So it was like everything so thoroughly written, and it kind of inspires you, man. You kind of have more respect for women after reading this book, like one of those woman empowerment books. I'm fine, dude. How are you? Can I call? Obviously, a book is a book. Doesn't matter. You can school book, poem book, college book, non-detailed book. Any book is a book. Still, you're reading a book. It doesn't matter. It is like educational book or so. Yeah, yeah. I mean, that would be plenty. But I would say, especially because kids, especially school kids and college kids, they are actually reading books, academic books. They have the reading habit inherently. So I would say they should just extend that to reading more books. So there's a lot of categories in books, right? Self-help, personality development, novels, short stories, like 80 pages, 100 pages book or 50 pages book. So along with their academic books, they should give a try. There are like a lot of Ruskin Bond books are like hardly 80, and like very emotional stories and funny stories are there. So I think books are like fascinating. So along with your academic books, you should extend or push yourself and try to read some other book as well. Okay. All right. You read 10 books this year. Salute. Kudos, and let's appreciate Bumble Babu for reading 10 books. No matter what kind of book was that, let it be academic books, but then let's give a round of applause. Despite being a gamer, YouTuber, he kind of streams almost every week, and still he managed to read under 10 books. Make it 100 next year, okay? Cool. Do check out. It's available on Amazon. If you are in the city, you can just order any city in India. I think door delivery would be possible. But if you're in town or some other place, then we can visit the nearby store. This is a very internationally popular, and especially when COVID came out and COVID came, this would have got really famous because, as I said, it's like just a COVID of 19th century. The story starts with the fever's description, like how people are dying because of this mysterious plague, and how this she's like very worried about her patient. So she's coming from her home early, late night, and then she's thinking of her patient, like what happened to them, like people are dying a lot. She's reading newspaper, she's reading the signs in the force. So it's literally set in that kind of phase where 2019, late 2019, 2020, how did we feel like when the COVID was, like prevalent and like scary? Panic was written everywhere, right? So it's such kind of state, but 100 years apart. And thank God, 2019, 20, we had scientifically advanced, medically, we were like able to, like, if you look back, we handled it despite being a very massive pandemic, all over the world. We somehow handled it, even though some poor execution were there, obviously, or handling, planning, and tackling it. There were issues, but overall, I would say, we kind of fought back and came back in like 2.5 years. Now it's like almost over. So, but then there was no science development. Imagine microscopes were not even invented. So it's so scary. They were not even able to figure out what's happening. Like, what is this fever, from where it came? They just thought that because we had a huge world war, nature is punishing us with this plague. So it was really difficult there, and the panic. You can imagine how bad it is. And imagine, like, every 100 years we had such a plague, like all over the world, like black plague. And the more back in timeline you go, the more less scientific advancement, and the panic is more, like, yeah. So definitely read this book. Then I can tell you will not enjoy, but you will have some knowledge. I can see it's like an academic book. So do read it. Yes, I hope you enjoyed this episode. It's episode number 44 of My View on Books, and we were talking about The Pull of the Stars by Emma Donoghue. Please check it out and read the book. You'll like it. And yeah, we'll continue, and we'll somehow hit 50 before December 31st. I want to do it. 50 episodes of books. That's really something proud. I can tell everyone that I not only read books, I have recommended 50. I've talked about 50 books to my viewers in YouTube. So if any books, at least one book will be relatable to one audience or one viewer. So I'm really proud that I would have, if I have done like a 50 episode, I'll be really proud. So let's achieve that target soon together. Until tomorrow, we'll continue the Star Wars Jedi. I think few more episodes are there. I'm playing it from February, and each and every game I take almost like 1 year. So let's do that. And the schedule will continue every day. And see you on the next live stream. Until then, you're watching MaddiE with MaddiE. Who is that MaddiE? I am that MaddiE. Ta-da, bye. Take care. By the way, this is not my library. I won't have such a library, but just a background.